Hi, Ann Cornick from Paintnporcelain here. I just am here to teach beginners how to China paint and also to recruit experienced painters to paint along with me. I went to a state convention one time here in Michigan, and May Perkins demonstrated roses, and she has a formula rose that she was demonstrating, and all of a sudden it clicked for me and I got it. And I've shown it to other people and it kind of clicked for them too. So it's a very basic rose. You're going to have to dress it up a lot, but it will give you an idea of how to get started with roses. So this is another example of what May Perkins did, and as you can see, these are tiny roses. The smaller the rose is, the more forgiving it is. You can get away with less strokes. You can get away with a lot less detail. And she went the extra mile and painted the sides and the back of this piece. And then she put gold on it. And I use this for my bills, but I just love it. I found it at a thrift store. And I was so excited because she's the person that I learned roses from. So I'm going to tilt you down and we're going to get started. We're going to be doing a rose with kind of a pinky reddy tone. I'm going to use Persian red because I know it's going to show up and you'll be able to see what I'm doing real easily. This is the tile that I'm going to be painting on. So I'm going to be starting out by side loading my brush. Let me get my brush here. I'm using two different sizes. I have a kind of a, this is an 8, and it is a scarf brush, and it's one of those China painting brushes, but it's actually made by Scarf. And this one doesn't have a number on it, but I imagine it's about a 10 because you can see there's a difference in the sizes of those. So I'm going to start out with the bigger brush, the 10. And you dip it in your turpentine and you dip it in your oil and just the very tip in the oil, and then I'm going to put it into my Persian. I'm side loading, so I'm only picking up the side here, and I'm going to start with the center, which I'm going to call the bowl. I don't know if that's what it's called or not, but I'll try to paint so you can see, but in putting this in, it's always a little difficult, so there we go. I'm using short, choppy little C strokes. They're kind of like this. Can you see what I'm doing? Here, let me come up even closer. This. They're like little check marks almost, only they're a little smoother. They're more of a C stroke. So let me wipe that off up there. And you can see I did my bowl right here. So that's the center of the rose. Then I'm still side loading my brush with Persian, and I'm going to do what I call the cup. I don't know what the proper name is, but it's the outside part like this. And I'm just using short strokes and going around till I get to the other side. And then I'm going to smooth that out a little, make it a little prettier. Okay, so that's what I have. I have the center of the rose and I have the bowl that goes around the bottom of the rose so far. Still side loading my brush because you want this highlight to appear automatically for you, especially if you're doing your roses. Now I told you I'm not a pink person. I do my roses in Persian or Pompadour. I don't do a lot of pink roses. So this is, and when I do pink roses, I always mix a little Persian or Pompadour in with them. So now I'm going to do the sides. And these are the side petals. I'm going to put one up here, and I'm painting towards the center. I'm going to paint, oops, wrong color. I'm going to paint a little longer one right here along the side. So it's side loaded brush, and I'm just doing it very, very, very slowly, kind of the same kind of little check marks. I'm going to do another one across the bottom. Pull it up so you can see a little better. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to do another one over on this side. Take your time. Don't rush, because if you rush, you're not going to get the same kind of results. You have to take your time on this. And then I'm going to put the final, so I'm doing 5 petals out from the base. And this one, I'm just going to swoop it up that way a little bit. Okay? So you can see, I've done my base, I've done the cup, and I've done the 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals around. You can do 4, you can do 3, you can do however many you want, but that gives you a good start. Can you kind of see the rose there already? Okay, so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to just fix the outside of these petals so that they have a little more detail to them. I still have the side load, but this time, instead of using the side load facing the bowl, I'm going to turn it and I'm going to just do the edge. I'm going to make it a little bit lacy, just so it's not as rough as it is here. And it's just a little in and out, up and down, however it works best for you. Same thing here. And this little one up here, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so you can kind of see now I've refined the edges. The only reason I've done that is because some of these edges I'm not going to mess with. Others I'm going to cut out using my eraser. The final thing I'm going to do is go up to the top and pull the color up just a little bit. Kind of a crosshatch. A little that way and a little this way. And then I'm going to go back down into the bowl and sort of fix it a little bit. And there you have, I got some smudge on there. There you have the top. Can you see the rose there? It's a formula rose, so you're going to do the same thing pretty much every time, but then what you have to do with the cuts is make it different. Okay, so to make the cuts, I'm using a wedge eraser. This is a wedge eraser. And the wedge eraser, mine had a little thing on the top of it here. I don't know what it was, and I cut it off because it was driving me crazy. But what you're going to want to do then is go around and very carefully pick out some petals. Now, the key to this is to pretend that down here at the base, can you see that little mark I made at the base? Yeah, you can. That little mark is going to be your guide, and you're going to try to bring all your petals down towards that mark. We're going to start up here with the bowl. And this is going to be very hard to see. And I knew this was going to be difficult, but I'm trying my best so you can see it. I'm just going around and making a few definitions in the surrounding area. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to work on the petals inside the rose. And here's a rose, you can see. This is the rose from my garden. You can see how each of these little petals here, each of these little petals has a little, like a half moon on the top of it. And that's what we're going to be going for in the center of this rose. Always helps if you have roses in your garden to bring them in. So you're going to start, and you're just going to use your eraser and make a few of those little half moon going around so that it's kind of in a circle, and then doing the next layer, and then maybe one in the middle, And that'll give you the inside of your rose and give you the feel that you want for the petals that are there. Then we're going to start around the outside here. And I kind of like the way that this outside petal looks. So I'm just going to bring it in a little by doing that. And over on this side now, I'm kind of jumping back and forth, I know, but I can see real clearly here that if I do that and face it towards that dot that I have at the bottom, it'll really help bring that in. This one up here, I can do that, and that'll bring that one in. And down here, that'll help bring it in. So I'm slowly but surely getting these petals added. Now, before I go much further with the outside, I want to start doing some leaves. And I'm going to use some unorthodox colors, I think, for the leaves so you can clearly see the light from the dark on the green. I have a cool green, which is kind of like a shading green. For those of you that have shading green, I'm doing a full load of the cool green and a side load of like a black green. Because I think it'll show up better so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to show you over to the side here how I do a leaf. I do a backward C. Pull it into a backward C. And then I stop, and that gives me the center vein there on the leaf. So I full loaded with the shading green, side load with the black green, and here I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So you've got this and you've got this. Okay, that's the base of the leaf. In this case, I'll put it, when I paint them, I'll paint them right underneath the petals. Then I turn my tile or plate around and I go down to this end, and I'm just gently adding a little point. Or if you don't like the point, you can do it a little more blunt on the bottom. That's how I do a leaf, a leaf for a rose. So that's the first thing. Okay, so now let's go and, oops, had a lot of red on that. The other nice thing is with rose leaves, you can add other colors into them. I like to add brown into them. Obviously, the deep blue green I like to add into them. I also like to add some of the red that I'm using. If I'm using a red rose or a pink rose, it gives you a nice color. So with that said, let's put one under here. We're going to come in and put a little set. See, I did the half C's, and then I did the center, and then I'm going to wipe this around. And as you go around the leaves, you have to make sure, the petals, you have to make sure that you make it look like it's going under the petals. It can't just sit out there. Then I'm going to turn my plate. I know my hand's probably in the way. And gently pull down to a point. I'm leaving a lot of white space because you can't put the white space back in. Then I'm going to put another one maybe under this part here. I'm sorry, can you see me there painting? And then I'm going to turn it again, come down this way. And make the point of the leaf. Oops, I have a little too much color on my brush. I'm just going to take a little off there. So that's my next leaf. And then leaves usually come in three on a rose bush. So typically you would put another one like in here. turn your plate again and just do the tip of it. Okay? I'm hoping that's helping. Now, if you're one of those people that wants to put your veins in on this fire, you can. I take my pointer to do my veins. For a long time, I tried to do it with the brush like I was taught, but it really didn't work well for me. So I use a pointer and I roll it. This is the pointer. It's very, very, very thin. And I roll it and I just, oops, that's a little harsh. I know you'll be able to see it, but that's not exactly what I had in mind there. Okay, now let me put a couple up in here. I need more oil, that's the secret. You want to keep it so it runs pretty smoothly on your little liner. There we go. Put them different directions. So there's one way of doing the veins. Another way I've seen people do is just take their eraser and I know this is exaggerated, but I'm kind of doing it on purpose so you can see it. And they do it like that. And then later on they paint in. So it's up to you how you want to do it. This is just a demonstration piece anyway, so it'll give you a good idea. Then, of course, you can see you've already made a problem with the leaves running into the bottom of the petals. So now you can take your same eraser and you can gently outline those petals. There, I did it there. And I'm going to do it up in the upper one that's up here, right there. Watch this. I'm going to take my eraser and I'm just going to lightly flick, 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 and that separates the petal from the leaf. And then if you want to go back, and you need to smooth these lines. You can see all those lines that I've created with the eraser. You don't want those lines there. So you're going to erase those by gently, very gently. You take your brush, you clean it, you put a little oil on the end of it, and maybe even a little bit of the paint that you're using. And then you come up and you gently, very gently, try to smooth those lines. And I smooth that line in. Then I've got a real obvious line right down here that you can see. And I'm going to put a little highlight on there by just pressing and lifting. Pressing and lifting. And you may have to do it a couple of times to get the highlights in that you want. I might want a little more highlight over here too. I'm going to press and lift. Always wipe the paint off your brush so you don't have so much paint on your brush. And then here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press, press and lift. And then I'm going to pull it towards the center. Okay. Now up in the bowl, just take your brush and very gently pull. Either pull up or pull down. And you may have to go in and just touch those again just to get them back. So this is a basic, very basic rose. Thanks for joining me. I hope you liked what you saw, and if you did, please like this page and also subscribe to it. And in addition, you can check out any of the products or studies that you saw at paintnporcelain.com or check the description box below for information.